Good evening. The Design Review Board number 2 public meeting of February 3rd, 2011 is called to order. We are televising this meeting from the council chambers as opposed to the Municipal Services Building, room 106. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, we ask that you please leave the room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be called to speak on any item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed is asked to completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current Design Review Board agendas are available by calling our Design Review Board hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and Design Review Board reconsideration and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that all appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the Design Review Board decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at his or her discretion. Roll call, Board Member Baladian.
Here.
Board Member Malikian.
Here.
Board Member Sakai is absent. Board Member Zarifian is also absent. And Chairperson Garagos.
Here.
Report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on January 27th, 2011. This evening we had on our agenda election of chairpersons, but because we only have 3 members of the 5-member Design Review Board, we asked kindly to postpone that until all 5 board members are present. So, is that acceptable to the 3 members that are present?
Yes, absolutely.
I see nodding, so yes, so we will continue that matter. Oral communications, discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. I have no oral communication cards. Chairman Garagos?
I have no cards.
So we'll continue on. At this point, there are no staff announcements, and there are no consent items on the agenda, which brings us to the one and only item on tonight's agenda. I'll turn the meeting over to Chairman Garagos.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome, one and all. We're proceeding right on to the review calendar. We'll start with 2 PDR 2010-060A 2090 Rimcrest.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, board members. As you mentioned, the case number for the project is 2 PDR 2010-060A, located at 2090 Rimcrest Street or Drive. This is a first-time submittal for final review. Subject property currently features a 3-story single-family house, attached 3-car garage. No changes are being proposed to the existing house, which was built in 1988. The subject property is located in the hillside and slopes down significantly at the rear, where the proposal is to construct a 575 square foot detached deck while maintaining the rest of the existing conditions. The overall height of the proposed deck is 14 feet from the bottom of the wall to the top of the rail. Subject property is located in the R1R3 zone. There currently is an existing illegal decorative baluster at the front of the house, which is in the front setback area, and it would have to be either removed or legal prior to issuing any permit for this proposal. The historic preservation planner has also reviewed the project and has found not of any significance. Staff believes that the size of the proposed deck could be reduced down and should be reduced down by approximately 30 to 35%, which means reducing the length of it to 40 feet from 63, and the depth of it to be 9 feet at both ends instead of 11.5, 9 and 8 inches. The proposal currently follows the property line at the rear, meaning 10 feet away, which is the code-required setback at the rear, is parallel to the property line. What staff is recommending to do is follow the contour line, and which would mean to push it back by about approximately 2.5 feet on one end and about 8 inches on the other. Also make it shorter to 40 feet, which, as I mentioned, will reduce overall proposal by about 30 to 35, approximately. By making those changes, staff can feel comfortable recommending an approval with those conditions. There are a few conditions that I would like to read for the record. One is to shorten the depth of the deck on both ends to 9 feet instead of 9 feet and 8 inches on the side and 11 feet 6 inches on the west side. Reduce the overall length of the deck to 40 feet. Reduce the cantilever overhang from 36 inches to 30 inches, which is 20. And remove or legalize the unpermitted decorative balusters that are at the front setback. Also, staff believes that the provided cantilever is a good idea in terms of providing a shadow line and providing fill to the wall that will be posing on the under. That sums up my questions. I'm here. The applicant.
Were there any correspondence with any of the neighbors? Do they have any
I
comments?
did receive a phone call from a neighbor to the downhill. I am not silent. Which would be the south side. I got a phone call 2 days back. I spoke with the gentleman over the phone. He said, I will review the plans that are online, available. If I have concerns, I will email you. I have not received any email, but I have had a conversation.
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you.
I have a question. What is the requirement of the height of
Well,
the hillside?
the wall, including the railing, cannot be more than
More than
the
straight,
maximum height is 15 feet from where it
15
comes
feet.
out of the ground to the top of the rail.
15 feet?
Correct. They're proposing 14.
Any questions? Okay, I have two cards, one of which is the applicant, Al Defaz. Please, would you want to speak? You come to the microphone. Okay. Say your name and address, please.
Yes, hi. My name is Al DeFaz, and I heard something that I haven't been aware of it. Is there something illegal that you mentioned? Something's been...
Yes, the balusters at the front of the house.
Oh, okay.
Decorative balusters.
Would that affect the project in the back?
As I read it in the record, it is one of the conditions staff recommends that
To legalize?
or remove these prior to obtaining permits while you go through the plan check process to obtain your permit. That also would have to be fixed.
All right, that was the only thing that caught my attention. Other than that, I don't think that we can, there's no problem with that. I know it's been reduced. We want to, as the owner stated, that he wanted to build something a little bit bigger because you don't want to go through the hassle of doing some construction and just adding just 1 foot to do all the excavation and all that. But you say it's going to be reduced about 30+%.
Okay, is there a question?
Yes, Ed. You're the engineer?
No, I'm a designer of that, the architect on that. And the in charge of the whole project.
Okay. Well, what I'm concerned about is that what they've designed, it's probably going to last them for a very short period of time. So I'm just not sure if really it's the best, design approach. And that's why I wanted to see if the engineer comment
we
why
haven't-
they chose a very typical construction that you would see in a residential when you're attaching next to a concrete deck and concrete wall, and it's on the outside and it's completely opened for weather and other. There was no protection or anything there. So I'm just wondering what was the reason, because they're going through a major expense of putting this.
Yeah, when we get to that point, when we start developing all the construction drawings, we're going to take care of it. The engineer is aware of it too.
Well, it's not a matter of going to the design, because right now all of these things that I'm talking about may affect the profile of the deck. So I'm not sure why a plywood and a very light 1.5-inch concrete next to a concrete slab that you have there, that immediately is going to crack. And that the crack there, and then you have all exposed wood lumber underneath this.
It's not exposed.
Well, it's not protected, so that crack is going to bring all moisture in, and it's going to eventually deteriorate. So I'm just wondering, has anybody explained to the client, and was there mutual understanding of what you guys were proposing by has anybody explained to them what it's being proposed? Because I wouldn't, propose this, but that's up to you guys. And if you think that this is the budgetary thing, or
Well, we're going to waterproof as much as we can. that thing.
replace it, in about 4 to 5 years, that's pretty much how much I give this deck to last.
We can build a lightweight concrete there and do the platform. But that would come, like I said, when we get to the engineer standpoint. Yeah, right now it's a design that we are trying to pass it, more or less.
Okay.
I just had one comment. On your elevation, you're showing the wall that's enclosed in the bottom as being level across. The topo looks like it's changing about 4 feet, the right hand to the left. It's about 7 feet high, and then it goes down to about 11 on the left-hand side, which is the issue with what we're talking about, is the deck might be too large, so it's getting bigger on the side that's larger.
That's what he mentioned, that we might follow the contour line, so that would be easier.
Right, but the way you've drawn it is it's level on the bottom. It's actually not level on the bottom.
That is true.
Yeah,
That is true. Yeah, it was not accurately.
All right.
But if we follow the contour lines like he suggested, you can see kind of straight line. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. The owner of Vic Pelican.
Hello, my name is Vic. I'm the house owner's son. We just definitely wanted to get a deck on our house because, as you know, the view's really nice up there, and our backyard is kind of small, our pool is kind of big, so our kind of seating area is really small. So literally it's been like 8 years we're living there, we never sat outside and enjoyed dinner or lunch or anything like that. Last time I swam in my pool was maybe 4 years ago. And it's just, we want to get a bigger deck so we can sit outside, we can enjoy the view. And yeah, everybody around us has a really long deck. Like, if we go outside, we see everybody's backyard is just extended, and ours is just like deep inside. And we just want to be able to sit outside and enjoy the view and weather and just, the view of Glendale, basically. And yeah, that's about it.
Question for you, owner?
No, again, the question, you guys are aware of the type of construction is being proposed and how it's going to get constructed?
Yes. My dad knows more than me about the whole thing, but if there's that whole concrete thing you were discussing, every deck I've seen on that house, even a couple of my friends' houses, they're all concrete. So
I'm not questioning the concrete. Yeah. It's just the lightness of the system. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware.
The wood substructure.
The wood substructure, because you're creating a concrete caissons and pilots. You're going through a major expense of putting this thing in. But then all of a sudden you're creating this deck and supporting it with normal wood structure, and the joint that you're going to create, the 1.5 inch lightweight concrete compared to the deck and the concrete slab you have, I guarantee you within 6 months that thing's going to crack. If not sooner, maybe. I don't know. But essentially that joint is going to create dry rotting.
I understand what you're saying, yeah.
So that's why I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of it, because it's not really something that when you're going through this kind of expense, you don't want to have that kind of a condition there. But that's all I wanted to know. I wanted to make sure you guys know about it.
If there was a reduction in the deck, I know this is contrary to your purposes, but if the deck was to diminish in size, would you want space more by the pool or on the other end of the pool? If you were...
I'm not sure. Did you want to be more out at the pool or the other side of the pool?
If it had to reduce, would you want the deck more up here or more down here? There's more deck somewhere.
At the pool area more extended or the other side? So away from the pool.
The pool side?
The other side.
The up side. If there was. Okay, you'd rather have it in that area.
A little bit more out there,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So we could sit away from the pool, I guess, yeah.
Okay, great. Very good. Any questions for the owner? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Seeing no other cards, we'll close the public hearing. And who wants to go first?
I can.
You go ahead.
Well, as I mentioned before, I think the design, the system, the construction of the the deck itself, I have concerns about. I'm just concerned about the owner of the house, that what they're getting as far as the quality of the construction. As far as the size of the deck, to me, 20% larger or smaller, it's really not the question. The question is, do we allow a deck or not? And if you want to do something, I think, to me, pushing it back 6 inches here or a foot there, it's the mass is still going to be there. So we're not really eliminating, we're not coming up with a proposal. I think I would be more comfortable if I leave it there and maybe push back and increase the cantilever and then create some planting underneath so that we can hide that section better, rather than pushing the deck in and making this whole thing for, I think that's what I would want to see.
Do you want to see this reduced, though, this length?
I really don't
Okay.
have a problem with the size of the deck. I mean, as I say, I don't know if you've gone around there, and I don't know if you noticed, but, there is a retaining wall, there is a deck there. And what it's being proposed is coming in front of it. If I reduce the 6 inches here or a foot there, that deck is being pushed out. That's what and in order for me to hide that, I'd rather keep the actual deck out and push the retaining condition where rather than have a 3 foot, maybe go for a 3'6" rather than a 30-inch, push that back a little bit more, and then plant right underneath of that, so that entire deck, the base of the deck is covered with some landscaping, so that it reduces the mass of that. Yeah, something like that. I don't have a problem with the straight or breaking or whatever it is. It's not, it doesn't bother me with the shape of it or anything. It's more of hiding it. That's what I want to see, and I think planting.
Nobody wants to see it.
So I don't have a problem with the size. I don't have a problem with the location. I don't have a problem with the shape of it and how much. I think I would want to have some planting underneath. That's it.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Chair. I know you're in the middle of but one of the things that we typically recommend for hillside decks is
Okay.
is for there to be planting underneath. We didn't recommend that here because on viewing pictures of that particular hillside, it looks like it's just rock. So we can't have any confidence that anything would grow in that slope. So we just wanted to convey that. That's why we didn't add that to the conditions. We didn't mean to interrupt.
I appreciate that, and I think what I can do is I can put a condition there, if the soil condition allows, I would like to have planting there or something in that fashion. So, and that would get determined when it goes through the plan check process. Thank you.
To add to my colleague's points, I agree with Alan. I'm not that thrilled about the shape of the shape of the addition of the deck and the existing. I'm not that comfortable with it. I think it needs to be simplified, and after hearing the owner's concern regarding enjoying the deck and all that, maybe to break the mass, the linear that long, maybe cut it in half, offset the deck, and then make it more square, maybe towards the existing deck area. Make it more square, cleaner. We could. Can we show him the sketch?
You just hold it up. It'll show.
Discussing something. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So this way, you don't have to do. You could break the massing, that linear along the contour in half. Maybe you might not need the other half either by the pool side. You might extend a little bit on the existing deck area and achieve your goal as far as your outdoor seating, and it will be better furnishable and better space. And I have a feeling this will be much cheaper to do it. You don't have to go through the lengthy expense of pile and cutting into the, it costs, piling cost. This is a way, alternative to think about it, if it works.
And it probably won't, actually, you're going past the setback.
Well, it's a sketch.
No,
So, for the record, it seems like the sketch that you showed reduces the portion of the deck by the existing pool, pushes that back, and staggers the deck so that the widest part of the deck, if you will, is where the existing seating area.
Yeah, it minimizes the work, and it'll be better. It will fit better your deck. It'll be cleaner edge. The way the designer had it, you have the existing deck, and then you're plugging in another dynamic form that has no relation with the existing deck contour, and that's my thought about the proposal.
Okay. I think the issue on that one might be that it would, in order to get that additional footage, they'd be in this. But I like the relationship with geometries. I think it would be too small. I think my issue on this one has to do with the fact that because you're not following the contour, you'll have an increase on that one side. It actually won't look level, as in the picture. Not that that's critical that it look level, but I think its impact would be minimized. So it's not necessarily reducing, it's a manner that you can keep consistent with the topo, isn't necessarily to reduce it. So I don't know that I need to reduce the height of the size of it. I think the idea of just holding it to the topo would be more important. I don't know how that works, but if somebody wanted to make a motion on that, I'd be willing to discuss. If there's anything in that.
Well, again, size, shape, they're going to be using it. That's an option they can look at. Again, that one, this one, anything else, a mass is being added on. So I have no problem a mass being added on as long as it's covered with, with some landscaping, if it's possible, if the soil allows the conditions. And if that is true, what Stephanie was mentioning, then you literally won't need any piles. If that's what, it's completely exposed bedrock, then you're just going to be placing the foundation on a bedrock. So
I don't believe it's actually bedrock. It
Okay.
seems to be not gravel, but larger aggregate stone slope.
So as far as the shape is, I would leave it up to them, however they feel comfortable with that. But any way that they want to do it, as long as it's covered with planting, and that would be my motion.
How about the conditions?
If there wasn't covered with planting, though, is there a fallback on that or not? If there can't be plants, is there an issue? Height of the wall matter, or?
Well, if planting is not possible, what I would want to see is some sort of a growing vine or some sort of a green, something that will hide those retaining, some green wall there or something.
They could, happens quite a bit on the hillside like that,
Right.
where you would dig in a trash can and
Right.
essentially a container there that could handle a vine.
And I think in lieu of trees, if it's not possible, then that's what I would. That is possible.
Dig in a container and grow vines.
Right. So as far as the conditions, I can go down the list of the conditions. Again, to me, the size, the length, everything, I'm okay with as long as it can get covered. I don't want to change it to. I rather, instead of the cantilever, that one thing I would want to see is if it's possible to have, rather than make it 30-inch, I would want to see it as 3 foot 6 inch, so that you would have a better kind of a recessed area, so that the further this retaining wall gets pushed back, the less of a mass you will see.
I think that's true. The only issue would be, the only time it's onerous is when you're below it, which means that you would see
Right.
more cantilever.
Right.
I mean, the cantilever would be more prominent, so. And plus, it wouldn't be shrubs that we're talking about vines, so,
If the
unless they dug a series of trash cans and put shrubs in. That's possible. Well, it's your motion. It's your motion.
At the bottom of the pile, there's photographs of subject property in the slope area.
I think there'll be planting.
Okay, complete the motion.
Well, then I'll make the motion to approve as it is with landscaping planted, and if Mr. Baladian has an option of, as a consideration of having an alternate layout, or unless you want to forget about this and...
I don't have a problem with the design. Can we clean up a little bit? Can we clean up the shape?
Well, it's a question how specific you want to be.
I think the shape has been dictated by all the setbacks that is required. Simple as that. Have a 10-foot side setback.
Provided
and a
envelope
10-foot.
today that's proposed is the maximum they can have.
Right,
Or
it's
just
built
take-
to the setback.
Any changes would make it
How
smaller.
about the conditions that the staff has minimized, and you want to, as is, or with the conditions, given conditions?
He's saying as.
No, I'm saying as is.
As is? Okay, I'll
Because the thing is, let me explain again, because reducing 6 inches and reducing a foot from here and reducing this 11-foot 6 or this 9-foot 8 to 9 foot and making this a 9 foot on this side, the mass is going to be there. It's
Can you at
not,
least clean it up a little bit, the shape?
but clean up in what sense? Right now it's parallel with the sides are parallel with the building. If you square it off or do whatever you want to do to it, then it becomes, right now it's parallel with the size of the building. The shape of the building is,
I think if you do the jagged like you're talking about, it's going to be considered.
I'm not saying to jagged, it's not properly,
oh, what you're saying is because the 10-foot,
Setback, you can't build in those zones.
I know.
you're saying that the distance from the edge of the deck,
See,
To
the
the edge
setback
of
is
the-
designing this deck. That's what I hate about it.
Well,
Setback is designing.
well, second or not, or make your own motion? Make a motion.
I'll second that.
Let's just clarify one thing, though. Did you want to stay with the larger or the shorter cantilever?
I'd rather get it larger rather than
Go to the 3 foot.
shorter.
Keep it at the 3 foot that it is now.
I would keep it at 3 foot. I would suggest if they can consider making it 3'6", but 3
And
foot
I
is
don't know if
fine.
I would want it more than that. Okay, very good. It's been moved and
All right,
seconded.
just to clarify, we have a concern regarding the structural and the quality. As I understand, the board wanted us to add a consideration to find the structural portion. as far as
No,
the-
no.
Well, if I
You
may,
didn't want-
that's going to be taken care of by Building and Safety. What I would like to ask the board is the enclosure wall that's required by code is currently, as you pointed out, stucco on wood studs. And so if that is agreeable to you, or if...
See, the stucco is fine. The problem that I see, and it is apparent to me, but it's not shown here, and it's going to come up, is that the building and safety is going to require some fire rating for this structure. And I don't know if just simply having a stucco and the plywood and having an exposed wood system and behind it is going to give you that rating. Second of all, they're going to need some sort of air ventilation or access or something, so that's going to affect the size and the design of this, and vents and all of that is going to come into play. Ultimately, they need to worry about maintaining underneath this deck. Somehow they need to get into here. Are they going to put an access door? Are they going to have other elements there for them to get in? I mean, they're going to create a wooden box that is completely covered in all sides. And if a moisture gets in there, they're done. I mean, that thing is going to dry rot without any access for them to get in there, and then that thing is going to fall down within a very short.
Yeah, I think what we did notice is that there's some details for structural supports.
Yeah.
Likely they're in the wrong place, but the way that we interpreted the drawing is that the wood stud is there to hold the stucco finish. That's the way we were interpreting that.
Right.
And if the stucco finish is sufficient, that was just our question. We just wanted to make sure we were clear on the design direction of the board, and we'll allow building and safety to take care of the structure.
See, my question, I guess I'm trying to ask a question from staff, is that I know what it's going to happen. I know once they go through the permit process. Do we want to okay it the way it is, and if they do maintain what they have, the vents and other components there that is going to get added on, do we want to see it back, or are we okay with the way it is?
I
Can
think
we put conditions to do an alternative layout plan? I think
you're the board, you can condition whatever you like.
I'm gonna condition it.
We're just here to obviously advise you.
I'm thinking. I mean, I look at it, it's driving me nuts.
Well, you have seconded the motion, so you may want to withdraw that second if it's driving you nuts.
Right now, it's a consideration to have them revisit geometry. And you could include your drawing.
I'm going to include that as a consideration.
Yeah, as a consideration.
Okay.
Which is how the motion is now.
With regard to venting, that's not a particular building and safety concern that I'm personally familiar with. So if you are convinced that there would be required to have venting in this
Because it's a
area,
wood
you
structure.
can condition that.
Yeah, because it's a wood structure that's
Just like an attic,
Yeah, crawl space.
or a
It's
crawl
like
space.
So
in an
is
attic.
there a configuration of the venting that you'd like to see? You might want to add that as a condition.
Well, I don't want to design it for them and how they need to.
calculation.
It's a calculation and how they're going to come up with, and they need to.
Well, it could be on the sides, for example, rather than the front. So if you'd like to condition
Minimize the
that.
impact. I think that we should be worried about minimizing the impact of the vents, and that the vents are colored the color of the stucco.
We can add that condition.
And actually, there's louvered ones as opposed to screen ones. The louver ones would tend to hold, you'd see more paint, so maybe we could say louver vents as opposed to screen vents would be helpful.
A whole bunch of new code changes started here
Yeah.
for that fire code, but
It'll still have the screen behind it,
Right.
but if you could have the louver in front, it'd be helpful.
So if you think you're finished constructing the
think we are.
motion, then Mr. Nazarian can read back the condition.
Yes, I'd like to read back some of the conditions
Please.
we've heard. Condition number 1 is to provide, if the soil supports and
Actually, it's independent of the soil. You can take a trash can and dig it. This is done all the time on hillsides like that. You dig a trash can into the ground. So you're essentially making a container to hold soil. So that's completely doable, and it should be a condition. It's a condition.
provide planting under the deck area
Right.
and extend the cantilever by another 6 inches. Plant underneath.
I don't know that we need to extend. I don't know. I wouldn't extend.
don't worry
Keep it
about
as
it.
it is. I would keep it as it is.
6
is,
inches?
yeah.
Keep it
Okay.
as it is.
Yeah, the planting, we want to give a minimum size and
I think we ought to do a
Obviously.
spacing on it, and shrubs.
obviously it needs to be native, whatever that is, the fire approves.
What minimal amount of information would staff need in order for a directive?
Well, the way we would suggest wording that would be to include shrubs that are sufficient to disguise the wall beneath the deck. If the existing soil will not support shrubs, to make sure to insert a container with soil at a minimum to cover with vines.
Yes.
So that's what we heard. We'll finesse the wording later.
That's fine.
We have also heard a consideration by Mr. Boladian to by the shape of the deck by offsetting towards the pool area, setting it back by how many?
He's going to give you his drawing.
I'll give you my...
It has a suggestion.
Okay, and
Part of the
any particular dimensions? 3 feet, 2
Or so.
feet?
Whatever, I'll give you my sketches.
So that would be to stagger the deck into two pieces. We didn't hear this as part of the motion, but we did hear this as part of the deliberation to adjust the line of the deck so that it's more consistent with the line of topography. Is that something you wanted to include
We
in the
determined it
motion?
probably wasn't as necessary.
Okay.
I could see that.
Okay, so that is not added as a consideration. The only consideration that we have would be to stagger the the shape of that deck.
Lastly, I would also like to add the condition that was condition number 4 in the staff's report regarding the balustrade.
Balustrades.
That should be, if that's a code issue, that should be resolved.
Okay, I think we have a pretty good idea of what the board wants, so
Okay.
we have a motion by Mr. Malikian to approve the project as is with the added conditions and considerations, and a second by Mr. Boladian. This is a roll call. Mr. Boladian?
Yes.
Mr. Malikian?
Yes.
And Chairperson Gergos?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you very much. We are moving on. The applause, lots of applause to our big audience out there tonight. Okay, we have some minutes. Can we actually do these minutes? Lottie was absent. Okay. I don't have the originals on.
I don't remember what I ate
I have the
yesterday.
fourth right here.
Let's hope.
This is the fourth.
Can I
Yeah,
just...
but Lottie was absent.
No, I was here. You and I were here.
We do it with two?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's okay. I thought it'd be three. Okay. Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. All right.
Just give me 1 second. Let me just refresh my memory.
Sketch.
Nice one. Nice one. Beautiful.
Sometimes we give these advices, you read back, you say, any railing that may be required shall be constructed of wood reflecting a simple design. Try to figure after 4 months what's a simple design. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to...
I have to pass the gavel, so he...
Yeah, you can pass it.
Pass the gavel?
That's what I do.
You're saying yes afterwards. Making a motion? I'll second the motion to approve the minutes. Aye.
All right.
Good job. Yeah. Thanks.
There you go.
Yes. My microphone is not on. So the motion, just to repeat, the minutes from January 20th, 2011 will be continued to the next meeting. With that said, Stephanie, there are no other staff announcements. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Just wanted to hit that.